This is a Wild Games Production podcast.
Welcome to the D&D world.
Meet you by the art room door, in a circle on the hallway floor. I made up a new map last night. It's got a dragon and a wizard fight.
By the way, I'm like a super fan of your product, so I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah, great. Have you been following the Kickstarter?
I have. I know it went live yesterday, and it got funded in 2 hours.
Yes.
So
I couldn't believe it.
Wow, you're at
42k now.
Wow. Welcome to the Save or Die podcast, the podcast about classic Dungeons and Dragons. I'm one of your hosts, Crispy, a first-level human fighter with a two-handed sword. And joining me today is...
Hello, Gavin Norman here. I'm a 9th level Vivimancer. Just reached name level, working up to my tower. Another couple of levels to go there, but I've got lots of evil plans for psychotic experiments I'm going to do in the basement there.
And today on the show, we're actually going to be talking about a Kickstarter that was just, as of this recording, launched yesterday and has already been fully funded beyond its initial goal,
Yes.
Which is the Old School Essentials Kickstarter. Gavin, why don't you tell us a little bit about Old School Essentials? People will probably be familiar with your name and, that product line as it was previously, BX Essentials, which we gave
exactly.
a glowing recommendation for.
Yes, thanks guys for that. Yeah. So old School Essentials is essentially, it's a revised and deluxe edition of BX Essentials. So it's my attempt to make a 100% accurate clone of BX. I've spent the last 2+ years working on this, firstly in the form of BX Essentials, and then when I came to build up to this Kickstarter to do an all-in-one tome of the rules and of a box set, I noticed that over the 2 years working on it, there was some stuff that I definitely thought I could improve. So then it became an actual revised edition. So just in terms of structuring and editing of the rules, I don't know. I think a project like this is never perfect. I can always do more in retrospect. So it's just been great to get this chance to actually go back to what I did and further polish it.
Yeah.
Now it's in a form that I'm super, super happy with and ready for deluxe publication.
And before the show, I do have some notes for things I noticed because I love BX Essentials. Is I don't even use my old BX books anymore.
Right, awesome.
I use BX Essentials when I'm prepping and at the table because it's just way handier to have that kind of segmented. And I did notice, especially in the core rules, the presentation is completely different, and I do want to jump into that. Before we do that, what have you been doing in gaming lately?
Apart from all the crazy work on the Kickstarter, I'm running an ongoing campaign in my setting, Dolmenwood. I don't know. Have you heard about Dolmenwood?
I have. I've heard great things. I haven't actually checked it out yet.
Right. Okay. It's a setting that me and Greg Gorgonmilk invented. We wrote about it in the Wormskin zine, and I've been running this for some years as my home campaign setting. We're currently at a point where the characters are around 4th, 5th level. Last session they got energy drained by specters, so now they're around 2nd or 3rd level again.
I mean, it happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. For me, it was a moment where the players should have run a lot earlier than they did. Eventually they decided to run, but it's kind of a shame that they're back to lower levels again now. But such is life.
Yeah, I don't know if you listened to the show, but I had them fight whites in my last home game.
Yeah.
And I did kill someone through energy drain because they were only 3rd level or so. But I fudged it and said it missed.
Okay. I killed one of the players as well with Spectre Energy Drain. I think it was 4th level, so 2 hits dead.
The reason why is that was his second character in the game because I had killed his previous character, and I was like, 2 deaths in a row to the same person. That seems unfair.
Oh, it was exactly the same scenario for me, actually. This character who died was a new PC of the player who had previously had a character die about 3 sessions before.
Whoops. So for me, as people know, on episode 1, I talked about we were doing a community game. I did run that, super successful, very fun. We're playing X2 Castle Amber, and I've got a full party of 4. So I'm feeling pretty good about that game. And just to let people know, we are doing that game again. It's going to be a continuation of X2. It's drop in, drop out. So if you just want to come in, stay for a couple hours, commit as much time or as little time as you want. But that's going to be happening on the 28th of April from 6 to about 11 p.m. Pacific time. So GMT minus 8. I've been referencing the GMT a lot more, specifically because you and I had to schedule this because you're in Berlin and I'm in Las Vegas, so there's a 10-hour time difference, and so
requires quite some juggling and math to figure out which way the time difference is going and so on.
And I had thought to myself, like, oh well, if other people want to join in who are not in the States, it would be a lot easier to give these in, GMT time. So that's why I've been doing that lately. But it's been great. Other than that, I have been reading 3.5 again, and I'm probably going to be running a 3.5 game. I'll give the thesis for this. I've been looking at the 3.5 rules, specifically in reference to the BX rules. And this kind of came about as I was reading through the BX Essentials book. And I just noticed, like, this particular D6 rule in BX coincides with this particular skill. Spotting secret or spotting enemies would be like a surprise roll. So the spot rule in 3.5 is your surprise roll. And then the search skill is your search for secret doors or traps and stuff like that. And the more I looked at it, the more these things lined up. So my thesis is that everyone who joined into gaming with 3.5 and didn't have the sort of context for how TSR era D&D ran has been playing D&D incorrectly this entire time. So
okay, interesting.
I'm interested to see how it's going to work. Let's go ahead and jump into the Kickstarter itself for Old School Essentials. So I kind of wanted to know what the scope of this is. I know the original BX Essentials scope was to have a set of modular books that you can then later on create, if you wanted to do a sci-fi or if you wanted to do a pulp noir. Is that still kind of the goal with this?
Yeah, totally. So this is something that I noticed in my own games over the last years, that like I was using the BX rules, but there were huge sections of the books that I wasn't actually ever referencing or using in any way. I always tend to replace the standard classes mostly with new classes. I'll often use completely new monsters in my campaigns. Often I'll also completely replace the spell list, for example, treasures as well. So I kind of noticed that there's a section of the rules that I am using, which is like encounters, combat, the dungeon adventuring, all the classic stuff. But then the rest of the rule books I'm actually not really using. So this is where the idea came from, that like, oh, actually, right, there is this core of BX that is very flexible and you can actually use for many different kinds of genres of game. And why not make a book that just has that?
Yeah, and it's really cool that you separated it out, because as I was looking at the core of BX, that got me thinking, like, oh, the modern versions of D&D haven't changed from the core aspects of what you're doing in a D&D game.
Yeah, totally.
Which I think is just more like, Carl and I, both of our favorite edition is BX. So like it just kind of, or classic, but we both like BX. It just sort of like goes to say like they really got the game right, bang on from the jump, basically.
Yeah. I think it's one of these like I don't know what the phrase is, but just this like flash of inspiration, isn't it? Like it's just tapping a sort of node of exciting and imaginative gaming, which no one had really tapped before, and just getting this like pure kind of archetypal thing from the beginning. I mean, I don't know the exact history of it, but as D&D has been published anyway, from the beginning, it had this like core to it.
Yeah. So let's talk, before we get into the boring, like, here's how the books have changed stuff. I don't think it's actually that boring. I'm actually super excited from what I've read. Let's talk about the campaign itself. At this moment, you're sitting at, how many hundreds of % over your goal?
Nearly
200 something?
Nearly 300%, yeah. So the initial goal was 15,000 euros. We're now at 42,000, so almost 300%.
Yeah.
And that's in less than 24 hours.
And my impression with BX Essentials, because we had mentioned this, we had heard about it, and I'd seen the community talking about it, the BX Facebook groups and all of that. Yeah. And we were like confused because like, is it a retro clone? What is this? And then when we finally checked it out, we were really surprised to see that it's just a reorganization, which I think is great. I think it's great that we're at a point where in the OSR you can just restate the rules and not have to change them to be legally distinct.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I've always played pure BX, and I just wanted to publish something that is the game I play, not having to kind of tweak things around just for the sake of it.
Yeah, and I think that's been because just BX Essentials has been crazy popular in the community. Like it's a super beloved, OSR version of BX, and I think that's a testament to how how fast. This is the second day of the Kickstarter being live, and you're already at 300%. You got funded in 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours to the funding goal. Yeah, and I think like 10 hours to smash all the stretch goals.
Yeah.
So this evening I've got to come up with some more stretch goals and add them.
And so speaking of stretch goals on the campaign, I do kind of want to talk about those. I haven't actually had a chance to check out most of this yet, so I'm super excited. But we talked
it's only
a little
been
bit
up for a day, so
yeah. Well, I was at work yesterday, and I went to F&M, and I come back, and now all the stretch goals are up. So I'm super excited about a couple of these. Specifically, I'm really excited about this project just to have the all-in-one book. And I do see that you're doing a leatherette printed copy, and it looks like the rules tome is also getting a ribbon marker, which is just super classy. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, so there's a few like sort of physical upgrade stretch goals, like the ribbon marker. We've also got stretch goals now that all the books will have printed end papers. So like the first page when you open the book before you actually get to the content. Printed on that page. I haven't designed it yet, but I'll make some like taking the most common tables or the most common kind of procedures and putting them on those front and back pages of the book. So that'll be super easy to reference kind of stuff there.
That's super cool. And then I do want to talk about the GM screen.
Yes.
So I have a BX screen that I made myself by clipping out copies. Right. And then I also have the new Big Dragon BX screen that I have put into one of those customizable ones.
I don't have that, but I've heard a lot of really good stuff about it.
It's a great screen. It's super good.
That's like inserts, right? That you can put in the kind of plastic screen kind of thing. Yeah, right.
So do you know what sort of things are going to go on your screen?
Well, I've started playing around with it a little bit, but it's nowhere near in any kind of final state.
Okay.
My kind of aim, if possible, would be to compress the entire of the core rules down onto the back of the screen.
And it's a 4-panel screen. That's going to be important.
Yeah.
Is it landscape or is it portrait?
Yeah, landscape. It'll be,
Landscape.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how possible that will be to have the screen as a like summary of the entire core rules, but we'll see.
I know the things I reference most are going to be the sequence of play,
Yeah.
and then the combat order. I always forget
Yeah.
the order of phases in combat. So
Yeah, me
and then-
too. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Despite having played for years, I still
Yeah.
can't remember which comes first.
Even now, it's movement, missiles, magic, melee. I'm
Right.
almost positive I might have the first two incorrect.
Sounds familiar. Yeah, but I couldn't swear to it.
Yeah. And then I do want to talk, because you've hit this goal already, the art on the screen.
Yes.
I'm super excited about this, but
Yeah,
it's going to
yeah,
be 4 Peter Mullen illustrations.
Yeah, so this for me was one of the, beyond the basic funding goal of producing this game, this for me was one of the 2 stretch goals that I was like, I will weep if we don't reach this. This is like, it's a stretch goal, but we've got to get there. So I've commissioned him to draw a complete like 4-panel, like a like a tetraptych, like a triptych, the like 3-panel, like a 4-panel continuous painting to go on the front of the screen.
Yeah. Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. So it's not just a single illustration. It's, like in each panel, it's like a continuous thing.
That's
across
awesome.
the whole front. So yeah, that is going to be really super cool.
Yeah, so we gushed about this a little bit before the show, but Peter Mullen is just an amazing artist. His stuff is so crazy evocative for sort of that like pulp fantasy Conan, Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, kind of grim dark but with a sense of humor kind of.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm really excited to see it.
He has a real sort of sci fantasy kind of twist as well, which I really like. So yeah, I think this is going to be amazing. I'm hoping this will make the screen like a really special thing, even for people who aren't like dedicated BX fans.
Well, yeah. So like, even if not to be like a negative Nancy, but if your screen, I really like the new Big Dragon. So if your screen doesn't have the inserts that I want for the DM facing side, I would still just print out the Peter Mullen art.
Yeah. That's an advantage of the like universal kind of screens, isn't it? Actually, you can mix and match like that.
Yeah, actually, I have a PDF copy of the Swords and Wizardry screen, which is Peter Mullen. So not to reference another product, because I know we're trying to focus on BX, they're old school essentials rather. But he also did compatible. He also did a bunch of art for the frogs for Swords and Wizardry. He did the original core book, and then he did the white box. And it's not available anymore, but at a certain point there was a PDF of the Swords and Wizardry screen, which I managed to snag 10 years ago or whatever it was now.
Right.
And yeah, the front facing is 4 different Peter Mullen arts, which I need to actually print out again to put into my universal screen. But I'm very excited for this continuous piece of art. That's going to be awesome.
So I can give a kind of hint of what the content will be. I mean, Peter's still at the just initial sketching stage, so I can't say too much about it. Broadly, the concept is that one panel on one side will be like the entrance to the dungeon, like maybe a group of adventurers just peering into the entrance of a cavern or evil temple or something like this. And then on the other end of the screen, you'll have like the lair of the big evil ruler of the dungeon. And on the in-between panels, you'll have the kind of minions of chaos facing off against the adventurers delving into the dungeon.
I see here the next stretch goal after that was an advanced fantasy add-on. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So this is the other stretch goal that I was feeling I would weep if we didn't reach this point. But we did within about 12 hours or something, so that's not a problem at all. So to kind of follow on from the like modular approach of the old school essentials rules, I've got a lot of plans for these what I'm calling genre modules. So the basic BX rules, the character classes and the equipment and so on, I've called the classic fantasy genre. But I want to publish more genre rules in this kind of line. So the first one I've got planned, and it's already written actually completely, is this advanced fantasy genre rules. So this brings in a lot of material from kind of inspired by AD&D, but it's really scaled down to the kind of power level and like rules complexity level of BX. So this book has 15 new character classes in it, including 6 demi-human race classes. So unlike a lot of clones that add on advanced stuff, go for the full like separate race and class. But I'm sticking with the kind of BX concept of race as class.
And that was going to be my follow-up question was, and I asked this when we talked to Bill Barsh about his Basic Expert Remastered Kickstarter, is how is this going to be set apart from, the big dog Labyrinth Lord or Advanced Labyrinth Lord? Can you give me all right, so 15 classes is a lot. That's a ton of classes. So that puts it up to what, 22 classes altogether? 22
classes, if you combine it with the classic ones,
Can you give me some hints about this? Are you going to do, is a Dwarven Thief going to be its own races class? Or are you going to... It sounds like that you're not separating race and class at all.
Yeah, no, so the new book doesn't touch on the classic classes at all, so there's nothing to with new dwarf kind of subtypes or anything like that. So it's purely new material. So the demi-humans we have are Drow, racist class, Dwergar, racist class, Gnome, half-elf, half-orc, and Sverfneblin. So you can see there's some pretty kind of wild stuff in there, inspired by Unearthed Arcana AD&D.
Okay.
Which was a lot of fun adapting this material. The material in Unearthed Arcana is a complete mess, to be honest. I was shocked. Being used to the original BX books, which are pretty nicely presented. Go and edited. I think the main point. Going to the wild crazy ravings of Gygax in full unrestrained mode with no editing.
I actually feel the same way about we did an episode of RFI where we reviewed it, and that book is so weird. It's so weird. It's got some of the best spells in D&D.
Yeah, totally.
But the classes the Cavalier and the Barbarian.
It's just nuts,
Comeliness, I don't care for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, there's a lot of cool ideas in there. I really like the idea of a cavalier or a knight kind of class. It's a nice kind of archetype. But the way it's written in Unearthed Arcana is absolutely insane. So it was a lot of fun adapting that kind of material to a toned down BX kind of power level.
What is what's the backer level to be able to get are these going to be printed as physical books or PDF?
Yeah, both. So the advanced books are add-ons. So anyone who backs the campaign can choose afterwards in backer kit to add on these extra books.
Okay. Is there a level where you get all of these additional add-ons?
There's not actually.
Okay.
Don't know. No special reason why I didn't do it like that, but yeah.
All right. I'm super... Man, I'm really interested in this now. Are they going to work anything like your BX Warrior and BX Rogue books?
No, okay. Nothing like that, no. So they're very much in the same mechanical vein as the original BX classes. So to give an example, say, the...
I don't want you to give up too much.
No, it's fine. I've written a lot about this already on my blog, so it's I'm not revealing stuff that shouldn't be revealed. And the book is written already, so it's it'll be published soon anyway. So yeah, an example, like you have the classic magic user class. In the advanced book, obviously you've got the illusionist, which is very similar mechanically but has a different spell list. Then you've got the gnome class, which is sort of like, like the halfling is sort of a thiefy, fightery demi-human. The gnome
is going to be an illusionist fighter.
Yeah, it's a kind of thiefy illusionist.
Okay.
So kind of combining different aspects of those classes. The drow, for example, is so you've got the classic elf, which is like half fighter, half magic user. The drow is like half fighter, half cleric. So I went with the thing that they are like priests of like weird subterranean deities, maybe spider deities, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, that's a bit of a different twist on the kind of classic classes.
I really like that. That's super cool, actually.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how that worked out, actually. Yeah, a lot of these classes, like, yeah, they're sort of using elements of the classic BX classes, but combining them in different ways, which actually is really cool when you see the resulting class. Like,
yeah, I know Carl will be, when he listens to this, I know he'll be super excited for that, because just talking to him, and I don't want to speak for him, but like I know that's his favorite thing to see, instead of just powering down the older, like, they're not older, but the like AD&D classes and the AD&D versions of things. I know he loves seeing whole cloth creations and keeping with that racist class sort of archetypal fantasy.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I've personally never come across racist class drow or dwergar or swerfneblin before.
Yeah,
maybe someone's done it, but it's certainly not a kind of common thing anyway. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with the result, and like super excited that we've got the funding to publish this now.
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit on these.
Yep.
And I see that one of the stretch goals that you've unlocked is an SRD website.
Yes,
that's super
indeed.
cool.
Yeah. So this is actually, we're going to announce another stretch goal later that enhances this further. So what has been unlocked now is the classic like hyperlinked website of the complete rules. So that'll be all of the like open game content of Old School Essentials online in a referenceable form. I'm going to announce another stretch goal later, which will add actual interactive elements to that. So like generators, like all of the kind of complex tables and procedures you have in BX in places like, for example, the treasure tables.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a like one click, give me treasure type M, click. This kind of thing, and it will generate the treasure type for you. Also there's another example is the like NPC character generator, like the NPC party generator.
Yeah.
So pretty complex if you go through the whole process manually, rolling up each character, rolling the magic items, etc.
Rolling their hirelings.
Yeah. So we're going to do a generator for that as well. So one click, here's your NPC party. So that is really exciting. Like I'm not sure what backing level that's going to be yet, but to be announced later today. Yeah.
So I do want to jump in talking about, because you gave us some proofs for 3 of the booklets. Yeah. Is it still going to be the setup separated into the 5 like rules modules for the?
I only gave you the first 3.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so there will be 5. So there's for the booklets in the black box, it's core rules, classic fantasy adventures, genre rules, so that's the character classes and equipment, cleric and magic user spells, classic fantasy monsters, and classic fantasy treasures. So that's the 5 books in the box set. Which more or less maps to the original BX Essentials kind of structure of things.
Yeah, the core rules have changed pretty significantly from what I've been reading, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. It looked like the spell book was more or less the same. I see that there's going to be some new art, because we've got placeholder gray boxes for that in the proofs he sent us. But it looks like it maps out to be pretty close to it. I do want to bring up something, because I know this was a criticism we had for the class book, I noticed that every class now is a 2-page spread, whereas previously the halfling and the fighter were a single page.
Yeah, I just felt that it made more sense structurally to make them all consistent like that, and that means we get a nice big illustration of a fighter because there's not much text on the fighter class.
Yeah, so. I mean it's not a ton. And then the core rules have changed pretty significantly. This is something we had talked about on the show, and I believe you and I also talked about it in PM or comment threads.
Was this about the alphabetical organization?
Yeah, the organization's changed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'd forgotten it was you guys that were one of the main people that pointed this out originally. Yeah, cool. Well, it's come full circle now. Yeah. Here we are talking about it.
I want to upfront say I love this new organization. It reads less like a system reference document where it's in alphabetical order, and it reads like a game system now, which I think is great.
Yeah, I feel the same. Yeah, it's I think ditching the alphabetical organization of the core rules really allowed me to kind of order things in a sensible order before leading someone into the game. Imagining someone who's new to BX coming to this, you want your information about the player characters up front, then the character creation, then maybe the how do you make an adventuring party, then how do you have a dungeon adventure, this kind of leading in, which is impossible with alphabetical organization of the rules. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with how that change went. I started it just as an experiment actually. When you and others were talking about it online, I just thought, interesting. Yeah, I wonder how that would look, and just played around in design, moving sections of text around.
Yeah,
and after a while, it was so obvious it was a much better way of doing it that I committed to it.
It's gonna be great, I think, when you get the full 1-tome rule set. It's just gonna be set up like an RC almost. I think it's going to be really cool to see how that all comes together. Yeah. I'm very excited for the single rules tome. I'm I'm waiting for that.
I think I won't use it personally in my games. I like the individual little books, but I think for reference it's brilliant. Yeah, just having everything right there.
So one thing I had thought with this as well, that I know it's the BX rules that everyone knows and loves. But it feels like its own game now, especially with the thought process to make it a modular system where you can do different genres with it.
Right. Yeah.
Was that were you planning on that, or was it still just supposed to be a representation of the BX rules?
I think it's something that has evolved. As I said, that was the original intention of BX Essentials, the original version of the game. But because it was kind of a development process getting to the point I'm at now, and through that process of a couple of years' work, it kind of crystallized more in my mind how exactly this kind of modular setup could work. And I think with the core rules now, in the introduction, I've made it very, very explicit, explaining how this modular idea works. So I think it's just a thing of the kind of crystallization of an idea now has reached an actual finalized point where it all makes sense. Whereas before, I think that wasn't totally clear in BX Essentials.
Okay. Man, I'm super excited for this. I'm really happy for you. BX Essentials has been great. I have all of them in physical form. I also have the BX Warrior and the BX Rogue. I feel bad because you come on the show and it's very biased. I'm a big fan of just your game design and specifically your graphic design. This is, and it's true for the original version of your Essentials products, but I think you're one of the best graphic designers and layout people working in the RPG field today.
Oh, wow, thanks.
Everything's on a single page, for the most part,
I mean, or a 2-page spread. For me the big focus. Yeah, I don't think I'm I'm not a graphic designer per se. I don't think my sort of in terms of like visual design, like artistic kind of looking. I don't think I have a great aptitude, but this like I guess is more like information design is really what I focus on. Like, yeah, usability, making sure nothing kind of runs over 2 pages, so you have to flip the page, like making sure all the information is right in one place where you need it. That's really the big focus of Old School Essentials.
Yeah. I did want to say in the core book, so it's mostly just the systemic stuff. So, you know, spell books, vehicles, boats, how to do combat, how to do evasion and pursuit. One thing I noticed was at the back, you included sample treasures. So you gave in this, and I don't think it was in the original core book. I'll take a look.
Yeah, this is something that's changed a lot, actually.
Yeah, you included the treasure types and the percentages right in the core books towards the back.
Yeah, so the idea of that was that I was imagining, like, you know, if I want to make an alternative treasures book, so like, say, like a sort of science fantasy, like ancient alien artifacts treasures book, would I want to replicate the whole like treasure tables, you know, the like types like A to V, whatever. Would I want to replicate all the basic rules for magic items, like about identifying them, how potions work, all this kind of stuff? And essentially I wouldn't, you know, that stuff feels like core rules. What is modular, so what would go in an alternative treasures book like this is just the magic items themselves. So, yeah, unfortunately I didn't send you that PDF apparently, but
that's okay.
Yeah, the classic fantasy treasures now is literally just the magic items. So it doesn't. So all of the like rules for generating treasures and for the basic rules about magic items are in the core rules now.
I actually really like that
book is
change.
Just the items, right?
Yeah, because the Adventures and Treasures book for BX Essentials, it's got, you know, the designing a dungeon and then the treasure tables and stuff like that. And you're right, that stuff does feel like core rules, and you've in this you've included that into this. So you've got, you know, your adventure scenarios, your dungeon design rules, which your wilderness design rules, your base design, all of which you know, dungeon design 2 pages. So it's, you know, starts on the even page, ends on the odd page, and then it's just man, that's the smartest design thing I think I've ever seen. I cannot.
I'm really glad you dig it. It's I mean, I'm really happy with it, but it's great to, you know, talk with someone else who appreciates that.
Like I own every edition of classic D&D, so I've got copies of all of it, and you know, sometimes just as someone who started in the 3rd edition era, when you know they nailed down the graphic design and the layout of what an RPG book should, how it should flow. You've kind of mirrored that here, and I think that's super smart, because I think these rules are better. I think the BX rules are better than any other rule set. It's just the being split between 2 books, and then they hadn't quite figured out layout for the most part. Taking those rules and updating them, I think, makes this a great tool to bring new people in.
Yeah, I mean, I love BX. I love the original BX books, but, you know, they're not perfect, and like a lot has been learned in the last 40 years about how to present rules, and I just felt I could add something to that classic rule set by presenting it and structuring it in a kind of updated way. So great to hear that you think I've succeeded in that.
I did want to ask one last thing here. You put Ascending Armor class into the game.
Yes. This was a tricky one. You know, obviously, as a BX purist, I don't use Ascending Armor class myself. I think Descending Armor class is perfectly fine as a system. I don't, you see online a lot of people saying like, I'll never play a game with descending armor class, like it's broken, it's so confusing, all this stuff. Like, I don't
know how to subtract.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not complex. You either subtract or you just look up a little table on your sheet. Like,
yeah. Oh my
what's the
god.
problem?
I had the same criticisms of those criticisms.
Yeah. So that's not why I put it in. I don't agree with those criticisms, but I want to make the BX rules accessible to as many people as possible. And just due to the looking at reviews of BX Essentials videos, stuff like this, like the number of comments from people saying like, oh yeah, it looks amazing, but it's got descending armor class, I won't play it. I just thought like, maybe how hard is it to add ascending armor class for people like that, just to make it more accessible? The answer is it's very easy to add it.
Yeah, it's just a reference number next to the THACO.
Yeah. So that was the reason for it. Like, it is, I think unjustifiably, but it is a blocker for a lot of people in getting into old school D&D. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a real shame. And it's easy to accommodate these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really smart move, because I think more than any other clone that I've seen, at least, I'm not going to profess to be a retro clone or a rules restatement expert, but
Sage.
out of Labyrinth Lord and Swords and Wizardry, which are the two I'm most familiar with, and I guess Holmes 77, which I don't think you can even get anymore.
Okay, no.
I don't think that's even available anymore.
Right.
I do think that this would be the tool I would use, or just BX Essentials itself is the tool I would use to teach people old school D&D.
Right.
And I think this will be great for that as well, because
that
barrier of entry to I find that criticism is more a barrier to entry for people who already play role-playing games. I think that, saying, hey, roll your number and then compare it to the table on your character sheet, and if you hit this number, you succeed at hitting it, and every number below it. It's not hard. It's mostly people who already play, 5th edition,
I think
3rd
that's
edition.
it. Like, if you're completely new to RPGs and the DM tells you, look up a number on the table, it's like, okay, cool, totally fine. But I think, it's people who have grown up on 3rd, 4th, 5th edition and other games that use the D20 system, Ascending Armor class. Like, I guess it's just so ingrained that people just feel uncomfortable and weird changing a fundamental thing like armor class like that. So,
yeah.
All
right. Well, I think that's all I have for you on this. Cool. So as of now, there's how many days left on the Kickstarter? 29.
Everything minus 24 hours, so 29 days.
Yeah. So I'm planning to get this out as quickly as possible. So there's still plenty of time for people to create more work for you and create more stretch goals. Can you give us a hint? We talked about this a little bit since you've already blown through all of your existing stretch goals.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can reveal, down the line that you really want to do that maybe, you need, you're what, 67? No, you're at 48,000 USD right now.
Yeah.
So say something, along the lines of like 70,000, 75,000 that you want to do.
Yeah. Well, I will say I don't want to go crazy on this. Like, the goal is to get this product published at very high quality and quickly. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely not going to be adding like stretch goals for like, and I'll produce another 10 books or whatever like this, That would just delay the whole thing by years, which is not what I want at all. I want to get this finished. One thing that I have in mind that I discussed a bit is the enhancements to the SRD site with the generators. So that'll be a stretch goal higher up. Another thing is there's an intro adventure, which is free to all backers in PDF or print, depending if you've got a physical or digital reward level. So that has just been unlocked, the stretch goal for that. So we'll be producing that definitely. So there's going to be more enhancements to that. Like, for example, there's a stretch goal I've got planned out to have that in full color. So all of the interior illustrations by James West will be in full color for that.
Oh, wow.
So that should be pretty tasty when when we get there.
Yeah. That's really cool. I just thought of one more question. What are your plans for retail for this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of reward levels on the Kickstarter where retailers can back to get like a set of 5 of the books, or a set of 5 of the box sets, or 5 of each. So yeah, any retailers who are interested definitely can back that. After the campaign is finished, once all this is actually published for real, I'm always interested in collaborating with retailers to get the stuff out there. It's just a case of who I have contacts with, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, if any retailers hear this, then get in touch. Very happy to discuss getting stuff into your shops.
And is the game going to be available for purchase after the Kickstarter?
Yeah, totally. So hopefully the Kickstarter will pay for a larger print run than just a number of backers, you know. So there should be lots available for sale to people who didn't get in on the Kickstarter.
And then say if someone misses the Kickstarter and that is the case, that you're able to do a larger print run, where would they be able to purchase the products?
So it'll be for sale at necroticgnome.com. will be where you can buy the print versions. The PDFs will also be available at drive-thru. So yeah, but because it's not a print-on-demand product, we can't sell the print product at drive-thru.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I have for you. Thank you for coming on the show, and
yeah, cool.
one,
Pleasure
letting me
to talk with you.
Pick your brain, and 2, fanboy out about the product.
And Peter Mullen, yeah.
And Peter Mullen, definitely.
Yeah.
So the Kickstarter, again, it's got almost a full month left on it. We'll leave a link in the show notes to that. And again, you know, I've been Crispy. I've managed to actually find a magical +1 shield over the course of this, so I'm gonna have to go down to that lower damage dice and start using a one-handed weapon.
And I've managed to find my first experimental subjects lost in the woods, so I'm dragging them down to my basement to implant brain leeches in them.
Jeez Louise. All right, and thanks for listening, everybody.
Chaotic alignment.
Oh, no.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course. Take care.
Cheers, bye.
Are you enjoying the show you're listening to right now? Great! Why not head over to patreon.com/WGP and support that show for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month goes a long way to helping support the network of Wild Games Productions. Again, that's patreon.com/WGP. Thank you.
Hilda and Leothward are fleeing from the dungeon where they encountered this strange beast in the green water. And they are making their way across Keramikos, across Moxtara, and coming to their first human settlement. Ahead of you, you see a town. It's a high-walled city, and I don't have a name for it because this is Moxtara, so I don't know enough about Keramikos to name it.
Same. I can't help you there.
Hold on. I'm just gonna pull off a map. Did you know Mystara was real big?
I do know that.
Jesus. Well, you don't know what it's called. That's what I say. You guys don't know. You're new here. You see a high-walled city.
There's no billboard on the road towards it that says
Latmore.
Keramikos City population.
You see, here's the thing. Courtney has at her disposal a huge list of fantasy names that nobody would even ever second guess or know about because she studied anatomy and physiology for years and years and years. So she knows all of these bones and tissues and muscles that most people, I would imagine, don't have a clue that that's what those words are. So she could pull stuff out from her education and just name a wizard or whatever, a town, whatever.
Be xiphoid if you want a medical word.
Yeah, see? I mean, that's a more common one, but still.
You know where the xiphoid is?
I don't know where it is, but I've heard xiphoid process.
Yeah, it's under your sternum. It's that little
it's the tip of your
bone
sternum.
It hangs out and it's jagged.
Like, I would say patella is less known than that.
That's your kneecap, Carl.
No? Patella is more known than xiphoid?
Patella is more known than xiphoid.
How about the manubrium?
I don't know the
manubrium. Kind of
manubrium.
manubrium, though. It's the top of the sternum.
See, manubrium would be a great name for a town. Welcome to manubrium.
It should be manubria.
And honestly, I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. I have to pronounce things the way... If I don't know how they're pronounced, I pronounce the way they're spelled. That way I could spell them correctly on test.
Manubrium.
And a lot of it's regional. The way
you got it totally
here.
right, according to dictionary.com.
Manubrium.
It's manubrium.
Well, and there's words that I learned a certain way in Arkansas that if I went to Washington State, they pronounce it differently, you know.
Sure.
You guys generally aren't super southern. Like Courtney's typically more southern than Carl, but the way you just said Arkansas is the most southern way I've heard anyone say Arkansas.
All right.
So we came up to town.
Hilda and Leothward are approaching a high-walled city called Manubria. And they have fled from the cave where they encountered this strange beast in the green water, and they see a high-walled city in front of them. They are still wounded from the beast's breath weapon, and the city is on the horizon. You make it safely to this human settlement, and they are side-eyeing you a little bit. You are a dwarf and an elf. Either of you by yourself would be a sight to see for this town, but the two of you together is doubly strange, and even more so than that, just because typically these are peoples who are not usually traveling alone together. So seeing an elf and a dwarf enter this town has really kind of caused some hustle and bustle, some communication running down the streets. I mean, there are people who are kind of peering out shop windows just to get a good look at you guys. So you are not going to have any type of subtlety or hide your identity in this town, or possibly any human town, just because of how strange it is to see an elf and a dwarf as travel companions. So...
I guess we should get used to being the odd couple.
Upon entering the town, you quickly find a tavern to kind of drown your sorrows in. Your first adventure did not go nearly as well as you'd hoped, being driven out of the cave by a large creature you were not prepared for, and you are set down across from each other, L in hand.
I usually call this healing potion.
I'm just gonna drink my ale in disappointed sadness. Do I have ale or do I have wine? I feel like
that would be up to you.
He's definitely a wine kind of guy.
Definitely a wine kind of guy. And this is a big enough city you could get either.
What else is going on around us in the tavern? Like, is it full? Is it empty? Is it?
It's full and filling up. You're the biggest news to happen here in a while. So once you guys made it to the tavern and people heard about that, and since the tavern is a public building that anybody can go into and get a drink and kind of spend some time there, more people have started pouring in. And a gentleman approaches your table, and he sits down, and he says, "Hello there to the two of you."
Hello there.
Hello. I am, my name is, it's, you know what my name is? I'll tell you what my name is. My name is Jan, and, I'm Jan. I am Jan, and I want to talk to you, ma'am. What's the proper way to talk to a dwarf? What should I call you?
Like, you want to know my name?
I don't know. What's the polite way to say it?
You can call me Hilda the Great.
Hilda the Great. That's very funny. My name is Jan, like I said, and I wanted to talk to you, Hilda, because I am a great drinker.
Okay.
And I have heard that dwarves are great drinkers.
Dwarves do many things great.
And I want to drink with you.
I'm not buying these drinks.
No, I will buy all the drinks.
I'm not wasting my time on your games, but I do enjoy a drink.
I will buy all the drinks. We will drink together, Jan and Hilda the Great.
Well, if you're buying drinks, I mean, hello.
Yes.
Oh yes, of course you would need to. My friend here likes to drink as well.
You are a great drinker.
I don't know if I'm a great drinker, but I hardly ever let it go down from my pipe anymore.
Of course, you are a great drinker. Shh. Don't just... Yes, he's a great drinker. Buy him drinks, too.
You will drink ale with us.
Oh.
No. If you're gonna drink with us, buy my friend the wine. I will drink the ale.
What I want to do is I want to outdrink you.
Why? Is this a thing that you want to do?
Because I have beaten everybody in here in my drinking contest, but I have never faced a dwarf.
Oh, so for some sort of bragging rights?
Yes, I want to tell everyone that I can outdrink anybody in this town and any dwarf out of it.
What's in it for me? I like gold. Do you have any gold if I outdrink you?
Yes, well, how much gold would you like to wager?
How much gold do I have?
20 silver pieces, that's for sure.
That's not going to go very far.
And 2 gold pieces.
No.
I would like to wager a song.
What?
A song, like an ancient tale of heroes, like one that inspires courage amongst your community and brings to heart feelings of camaraderie in your community and helps you get through the hard times. And if I win, then you have to tell me a story I've never heard before. And if you win, I have to tell you a story you've never heard before.
So Jan stares at you for a few. It feels longer than it probably is, and you're not sure how he's taking any of this. And then all of a sudden, okay.
Jan, is that your name?
Jan is my name.
Okay. I don't know about these songs my friend's gonna sing you. They're amazing, and you would love to hear them. But dwarves, we like gold. So, if I win, you pay me 5 gold. If you win, I'll pay you 5 gold. Deal?
Okay. 5 gold to the winner. So here is my drinking game mechanic that I have made up. For each drink you take, you are going to roll a d4. And the first person to accumulate more than their constitution falls out of the game.
Oh no.
Now, because Crispy is drinking wine instead of ale, he's going to roll a d3.
Game in the system.
So, Jan sits down a cup of ale in front of him and a cup of ale in front of Hilda and a cup of wine, a goblet of wine, a dainty drifter of wine in front of Leothward. And we're all going to roll our dice. And he rolled a 1. So he's doing good.
I rolled a 1.
Ooh. I rolled a 3.
All right. So Jan's sitting strong after his first drink. So is Crispy after his drink of wine, doing good. Mm-hmm. And that first drink hit Hilda pretty hard. Okay. So you're reeling a little bit from that drink, Hilda. Leothward's doing fine on drop of his wine. And Jan sits down another drink, and we all roll again.
No.
Dang it.
3.
I got a 3 as well.
All right. Well, Jan also took a pretty strong drink that time and is feeling pretty happy, and he starts laughing and singing and saying, "I'll have such a good story for you, Master Elf."
Do I know the song that he's singing? Can I join in?
No, it's like this. La 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 la. It's not any actual song. It's just like nonsense. He's just kind of coming up with like if you were singing at like I'm going to my car and getting my keys, it's that, except in like medieval, like sitting at the table with a dwarf and elf. Sitting at the table, I am not by myself. I'm drinking all the ale. The elf drinks the wine. If we drink some more, we will be so fine. Oh, drinky, 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 drinky. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'm glad that got recorded. Okay. And another drink gets passed around.
Dang.
Yeah, I got a 1.
I'm rolling 3s, like...
Am I gonna win this competition?
You might.
Can you start watering down ale?
All right. Do y'all drink again, or do you have a different plan?
I rolled a 2.
No, he's drinking, so Jan drinks.
I rolled a 2.
See, you got one more round.
Ish.
Maybe.
Jan does not seem very fazed at all by his drink that he just took.
Oh.
He says, This ale is getting weaker by the day. They must have served us the good stuff up front. You gotta admire that.
I will order the next round of drinks.
Okay.
And I'll pull the waitress in real close and be like, "Oh, my friend here is saying that your ale's very weak. You should give him the good stuff."
Okay. That seems like a good plan. All right. I don't even know if you'd have to be secretive about that. She'll look at Jan and go, "Jan, is our ale not strong enough for you? Well, don't insult our business like that. Come on, we'll get you some ale." And she goes around and talks to the tavern keeper, and they seem very cordial, possibly related. And they bring out some more ale for all of you. And she sits down, L in front of Crispy, L in front of Jan, and L in front of Hilda. And she's like, "Here's some strong drink for you."
Wait, an ale in front of all of us?
Yep.
Oh, no.
And so now, with this drink, I want everyone to roll a d6.
Well, I rolled a 3.
I rolled a 4.
So I'm over.
I still have maybe one more drink in me.
So, you are right on the edge, Crispy, and you see Jan and Hilda both slump over and rest their heads on the table, and kind of pass out very, very, very close at the same time. And you are sit left, looking over your drinking buddies, the sole survivor of the drinking contest, and the crowd erupts, cheering and hooping and hollering at the victorious elf who outdrank both their burliest drinker and a dwarf.
Just gonna be like, lightweights.
So, Leothward has proven victorious, if not over Monster, at least over L, and sits victorious as the local drinking champion in this walled city. Jan owes Leothward a story that Leothward has never heard before. Join us next time to hear that story and for more adventures with Hilda and Leothward in Mockstara. Thank you for listening.
The Save or Die podcast is a production of Wild Games Production, and it's produced for entertainment purposes only. The music used in the intro and outro is by Tripod and used with permission. Be sure to visit the Save or Die crew at saveordie.info for more information. If you'd like to support this podcast, please go to patreon.com/WGP.
Laugh at me, that's nothing.